guys, I'm Sai, and welcome to Ace Podcast Nation. On the channel, we've got interviews, podcasts, and content on various subjects, including mental health, football, films, TV, conspiracy theories, writing, and music, plus more. All our shows available in video format at youtube.com/Ace Podcast Nation, and all the audio is available at the usual podcasting apps. Today's show, my favorite kind of show to record, is Unscripted and Uncensored, episode number 10, where the people set the questions and the talking points. It is always a lot of fun. Never quite know where it's going to go, and often goes off on the tangents, so it should be good fun. And today I'm joined by my guest, who's been dominating Cage Warriors all over Europe, really. Recently signed with the biggest MMA company in the world, the champion. Still champion technically. Mr. Modestas, I knew I was going to forget to ask you how to pronounce your surname before I did it. I meant to ask you and then I forgot.
Yeah, it's Bukauskas.
There we go.
There you go.
What you said.
Makes it easier.
How are you, my friend? You okay?
Yeah, doing good. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show and everything, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good laugh. I enjoy these ones partly because I don't have to really do anything other than just get all the questions and put them into like a document just for me to read. But it's always interesting. People ask some like random stuff, and like I always seem to end up like whenever I do these shows or whenever I contact a guest, I'll ask them like, look, you can either do this show, which is like unscripted, uncensored. This is what it entails, or we can just do like a show about your career and this, that, and the other. And all the MMA fighters and the boxers who I've had, they all say, no, we'll do the unscripted, uncensored. They want to be like, just talk about loads of random stuff. Because obviously you do like a lot of interviews about MMA. So it's something a bit different in there.
I guess it's interesting to see what people, really want to know about you. Because obviously it's a chance for I guess all the people that are on here to sort of open up and show the different side to them. Because like you said, I mean, a lot of interviews talking about your fights and stuff like that, but not much of a chance to delve a little bit deeper into what we're really all about, and to show how really wacky and crazy us fighters are. How you have to be a complete nutball to go in a cage and do what we do.
Well, yeah, you have to. The thing is, like, if you're training every day and you're getting like punched and kicked, I think you've got to be like a certain bit of crazy just to be, just to get through that every day.
Yeah. I think once we lose a couple of brain cells, then it's just like, well, I guess it's not going to really do much if we lose a bit more. So I guess we've got to just keep going.
Yeah, that's it, mate. So what I like to do, mate, before we get into like all the questions and stuff which people have sent in, and obviously you're an MMA fighter, so there's a lot of MMA related questions, but there is a few which are not. And as I was saying to you just before we started, I found out some interesting information from one of the questions, which was I didn't know about before that, which I'm a bit disappointed I didn't know, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Cool.
But yeah, what I like to do is just have you kind of tell us a little bit about like you, where you're from, where you grew up, siblings, basically just how you ended up where you are today.
Right. So that's it. Get nice and comfortable because we're going to be here for a while. And I'm joking. Well, basically, if I kind of cut the story a little bit short, like my journey through MMA has been quite mad, to be honest with you. Like I had a little break in between and stuff like that. But basically, when I was I was born in Lithuania. So this is why everyone looks at me and they're like, oh, he's got the British accent and stuff like that. Like, how's he not from Britain? But I was born in Lithuania. Actually, that's why I represent both, Lithuania and Great Britain. But we moved here when I was 3 years old. So that's why I stand by born in Lithuania but bred in Britain. So like I said, representing both nations there. So yeah, when I was about 5, obviously when you're a kid, you're not, your sort of motor skills and stuff like that aren't really like well developed yet or anything like that. You're sort of just more in like a playful mood. So, my dad would like be, because my dad was a fighter back in the day. He was Soviet Union heavyweight no holds barred champion. So, you know, as you can imagine, he's quite a tough motherfucker.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he just started like showing me a little bit of stuff, like, you know, oh, here, look at this kick, look at this punch. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is fun. And then it got serious very quickly. After I think it must have been after about 2 weeks of, oh yeah, let's just play with this. And then it became, no, you must hit hard. You must kill. So yeah, like it was very it got full on pretty quickly. But you know, obviously I'm very grateful that he did, you know, made me very disciplined. Like it made me think in a way that, you know, I can't miss training. I need to do everything that is required. That was how I was brought up, you know, like having to put the work in to get where you want. But listen, via my dad's training, you know, I started out really in kickboxing. He did teach me sambo as well. So we already had like an MMA sort of base, but we mainly competed in kickboxing, me and my sister. My sister was actually very good as well. She doesn't compete now, but when she was a kid, I mean, she would beat me up. I mean, do you know what I mean? Obviously, when puberty happened, then obviously things started to change dynamic. But yeah, right at the beginning, I mean, listen, my sister used to make me cry. That's how tough she is. She's a tough cookie. Yeah, seriously, you do not want to get head kicked by her, that's for sure. But yeah, so we both competed in kickboxing. I won the British kickboxing title in 4 different age groups, usually fighting older guys. I remember the last one I won was when I was 14, and the guy was like close to 16. So, you know, I'm very, again, grateful that because I've just been quite tall and I was very skinny still. Like, obviously now you might see all the photos, obviously a load of topless photos that I end up, you know, splashing out on my Instagram these days. But, you know, I used to be quite skinny, like insanely skinny. Like girls used to call me weedy. Like I'll say, oh, I'm doing shot put. They're like, really? Isn't that for like, you know, quite strong people? I'm like, what are you trying to say? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like I naturally sort of filled out later, but yeah, I was always fighting bigger guys. I was always fighting older guys. So I've always had to get used to fighting bigger, stronger, you know, maybe tougher opponents as well. Because I had this whole mindset, which did change over time, but I had a very sportsman-like attitude. I still have it, but you need a bit more aggression now, like especially now fighting where I am. You know, the guys are trying to rip your head off. You can't just be like, oh yeah, let's just go in there and compete. You can't be like that. It used to be like that, but because I just wanted to be courteous, and like I said, my parents brought me up well and stuff. But yeah, I guess the point we need to sort of add that little bit of aggression. But anyways, so my sister also won the English kickboxing title, I think twice. So, you know, bit massive, you know, sort of combat family. We also trained in judo. A lot of people don't know, actually, I competed as a junior quite a lot. Again, because guys were massive and I was a lot heavier because I'm tall. I would always fight guys who are 3-4 years older. I was losing quite a lot of competitions at the beginning, but then obviously as time went on, my skill set increased and I naturally filled out. And then I started fighting guys my own age. I started picking up the golds and stuff like that. I actually entered like an international tournament and I got a bronze, which for me was quite a big thing because judo wasn't my main thing, but like, you know, to compete in it and like, you know, no one expected me to get any medals. So like, you know, I had quite a tough opposition. I had guys from, you know, other countries fighting me. And yeah, I managed to, I think, I must have won 2 and lost 2 or something, so I got a bronze. But you know, for me, that was quite a big achievement. That so, and it was a bit annoying because on my last grading for my judo, I because how they used to do it, you're allowed to attack the legs. Like obviously that rule's been taken out now, but you had to fight for your belt, so you had to win a certain amount of matches. And I remember I literally would have got my brown belt if it wasn't for a stupid mistake on my end. I went for a throw that I shouldn't have really went for, and then he ended up reversing it, which was annoying because if I had won that particular match, I would have got my brown belt. So I ended up with the highest blue belt in judo, which I think would have translated to a green belt or something if I would have turned senior, but I ended up like, you know. So look, mate, I've been competing in martial arts since I was, you know, my first kickboxing fight was when I was like 8 years old. And it's funny because I lost to the same guy twice, and then I ended up fighting him for the British title, and it was such a close fight. But I was giving it to him. Everyone thought that he was going to win. He almost thought he won at the end. At the end, actually, the referee, he didn't see the because we had to go in our designated corners, so we actually ended up going to the opposite corners. So when he lifted the guy's hand up, I was like, mother. I just lost again to this guy. Do you know what I mean? Like I've been literally working my tail off, and I got a second shot at the British title, and I lost against the same guy. And then the referee looked down. He's like, wait, hold on a minute. That's not right. You two swap over. And then he lifted my hand. I was like, I won it. Like, yeah. So that was a massive. Oh, he was, and the kid was very tough. Don't get me wrong, but he was quite upset about that. As I can imagine.
I bet.
You just think you've won, and it was like a full-on brawl. Like it was. I mean, I've got the tape still to this day. I remember it was like everyone was watching. We had like the whole crowd come in to watch this fight. Because the first time I fought him, I was just a little bit inexperienced in a bigger stage. So, and actually my first ever fight I fought in kickboxing. I remember it was supposed to be semi-contact at that particular age, and then obviously the next age you're allowed to hit a little bit harder. But on that one, you're not supposed to go crazy. I remember the first 2 punches through. My dad obviously been teaching me just hit full power, literally jab cross, bang, knock the dude down. I was like, and the guy was like, you need to watch your power here. But yeah, so many experiences of competing. And a lot of times, you'd be looking out the window, you see all these kids playing, they're playing football, they're hanging out with their friends, and meanwhile I'm sitting inside this sitting room, like dark room, waiting for my dad to get back, like getting ready to basically get absolutely hammered for about 2 hours with the pads, and you're literally dreading every minute. Like I think there's a lot of training sessions where I'll cry before because I'm like, I do not want to train. Like I do not want to do this, but my dad's making me. And the thing is, I have no choice in the matter, so I just got to do it. I'm so thankful though. If I didn't have that, if my dad didn't instill that in me, I wouldn't be disciplined. I wouldn't be, I guess mentally tough. There's a lot of experiences that I've had that made me mentally tougher over time, but that in particular, just the fact that almost getting forced. I believe that there's not enough of that these days. Like. And the thing is, although I was forced at the beginning, that's what then, at about the age of 11, I started drifting away. I still competed though. This is the funny thing. I did other sports, but I was bringing back trophies in fighting. Like this is how it was probably sort of already set in stone that I should just be doing some sort of fighting. Although I was good at other sports, I wasn't, and I was trying to pursue other. This is the thing. I'm glad I also had a bit of time away as well. Like, I think it made me realize how much I loved fighting, although getting forced into it maybe made me think like, well, what's outside of this? Like, is there anything that's actually better for me or I enjoy more and blah, blah, blah. So I remember I played tennis like quite seriously, got private lessons all the time. Like, and I got good, but then it wasn't like, it wasn't to the point where I could go and do something with it. So then I ended up picking up a basketball one day, and I thought, well, my dad was like, you know what, you're actually all right at this. Like, let's give this a shot. And then basketball ended up being like my main sport. And I actually, over the course, like I got good quite quickly. And then over the course of like a summer, I remember before I went, I was on the school team. I was like, maybe the sort of second worst guy on the team, but I was still on the team. I still made the team out of like the guys who. But then by the time it finished the summer, I ended up being like the leading scorer. Like everyone was like, "What the hell happened to you?" Like, I remember I'd score like 40 points every game and stuff like that. So it was mad. I ended up leaving that school as well and changing schools and stuff like that. Another thing I've got to be grateful for is a lot of people don't know that I've actually had a private education for most of my life. So I've got to give a lot of credit again to my parents, because if they hadn't, sort of put me into those situations, mate, I wouldn't be as well spoken, or I'd like to think I'm well spoken anyways. The words haven't started slurring just yet. So like that was a big part of me, sort of coming across a bit more, or trying to come across a bit more eloquent and just to be more well spoken. I think private education was definitely a good thing. It helped me learn to talk to different types of people. It helped me be a bit more all-rounded in terms of like what sort of groups I'm able to sort of be around and stuff like that. And I made some really good friends as well. I actually remember like the last like school fight I had, like everything got caught on camera and me just, smacking this kid to the floor. And and at that point, my dad was like, nah, we need to leave this, like we can't do this. And then I ended up trying to apply for one of the toughest schools in the net. I think they're like ranked in the top 10 schools in the country. It's called Haberdashers. I'm not sure if you're aware.
Okay.
But anyways, I don't know how the hell I got in, but out of 6 guys, there was one place available. I told them about my sports accolades because a lot of obviously from kickboxing, all my trophies and stuff like that. But obviously the basketball was going quite well, so I told them a bit about that, and I told them straight up what happened because I had like a little nose thing, because I had my nose broken. So, and the thing is, you'd think me exposing this to a private school top level, like you'd think they're probably like, nah, we've got to get this kid away from here. But I don't know, they seem to see something in me, and they chose me out of the 6 kids. And I remember the first year was terrible. I did. The first 2 years of that school, I did horrifically. Like, my grades were not on point. I remember there was a lot of parents' evenings where my parents are like, Modestas, we're paying all this money. What the hell is going on? You need to sort yourself out, basically. And then I pulled it back just before GCSEs. I managed to get good grades. I've got grades to get back into the school again. Do you know what? There's a massive theme in my life where it's being underestimated or being overlooked, and I think it's almost annoying in a way because I'm like, so you lot really don't believe me? Are you using my kindness for weakness or something? Because a lot of people, just because I don't say nothing, or now I've started to become, maybe I guess you could say, a little bit more outspoken, but because I'm quite a wacky, sort of crazy, energetic personality. But I'm not like the most brash or anything like that. And I don't know. And obviously, I want to be nice to people. I want to be courteous. I don't want to be a dick to people. So, I don't know. Like I say, I don't know if they use that as weakness or whatever. But I remember literally my whole life has been the same thing. Everyone thinks you're not that good, or there's people that are better, or whatever. So, and I remember even then, my form tutor was like, oh yeah, you need to make sure you study, otherwise you're not going to get the grades to get them. And I showed him my grades when I got my GCSE results. I was basically like, in your face. Obviously it wasn't quite like that. I mean, I still had to be respectful and everything.
That's what you thought, though.
Yeah, in my head I was like, listen mate, you did not believe in me 1 minute. It's understandable though, from someone in that position. They all they know to achieve good results in school, you got to study. And I was pretty much playing basketball. Like I would travel all over London. Like I'll come home at like 10 in the evening, 10:30 in the evening, pretty much the same as it is now, except I had no car. I was using local transport, and you're going all over across London to get train sessions in, when at the same time you got to bloody study and like get these grades in. So so pretty much from about, like I said, till about 16 years old is when I started applying for a school that one of my old coaches went to in America, and the coach that coached him was still coaching there. So that's how I ended up getting the hook up there. They showed a couple of game tapes and like, yeah, let's bring them over. So I ended up actually living. So again, from stopping doing martial arts seriously, but still winning medals. My last British kickboxing title was when I was 14. That was the under. Oh, I think I was 14 or 15. That was one of the under 16 title, and that was like my last like sort of most prestigious sort of title that I won up until that point. And again, not doing it seriously. Like I stopped doing martial arts seriously when I was about 11. So, and when I'll train for fights, I'll just train for the fight, and that's it. I'll just, then I can keep doing my own thing. Or I'll train basketball mainly, but then I'll do a little bit of fighting on the side. So, but then I went to America for high school for 2 years. 16 years old kid going all the way to another country by himself, living with another family. That was another amazing experience that I had. So I lived out there for 2 years. And then I actually found out I was all right at American football. Fun enough, I played the easiest position to understand, like in terms of you don't have to know certain like plays. You just have to know a couple of things and that's it. But obviously they couldn't exactly put me anywhere else. Like if I would play offense, I'd have to know about like, 40 different plays. And at the end of the day, they didn't know if I was like cut out for that. So they just I would have loved to have played offense, to be honest with you. I would have loved to play like tight end or something. And do you know what, to be honest, that was where as well in America, it's crazy. Their strength and conditioning is next level. Like this is why you have freak athletes, like genetically, genetic animals out there, because from 15 years, like pretty much 14, 15 years old, dudes are doing power cleans. I'm talking like coached by NFL coaches and stuff like that. They're doing like bench press. They know all the techniques, which is why now when I do my strength and conditioning with my dad, he tells me to do a snatch with the bar or a clean and press with the bar. I know all the techniques for it. But I've got to give credit to when I went to America, because they taught everything properly. And it was all about getting your maxes. Like my bench max when I went there was 180 pounds, which was horrific, right? And then when I left, it was about 275. So you can imagine the massive jump of like it's great. Like I said, I was a skinny kid, man. Like, and I it's funny. Back in the day, I used to think I was big. I was like, I've got a bit of definition going on here. And then I'll come to realize, I look at old pictures now. I'm like, bloody hell, I was delusional. I was like, I used to go out. I used to go out wearing like short sleeve tank tops, thinking I'm the big guy. And then I come to realize like I was a pipsqueak. But yeah. I guess as well, being like always the smaller kid, the skinny kid, fighting bigger guys. That's why now when I spar heavyweights and stuff like that, like I have no problem strength wise. And again, credit to the training that I did in America as well. But yeah, I ended up like, I wanted to get a Division I scholarship, but that wasn't on the cards. A couple of Division II schools had a look at me and the scouting. I ended up, I think, apparently some Division I schools for American football were like sort of looking at me and scouting me, but I had no idea. So if you can imagine, I was put in a very tough spot. I was like, do I continue playing American football and take away time from basketball, which is what I came here for, or, so I ended up quitting halfway through the season. I got a massive backlash for that because obviously all my teammates are like, you basically just ran out on us. It took a while to get back into their trust circles again, but I had to do what was best for me. At the end of the day, like I said, if I'm going out there for one sport, I've got to dedicate myself to that sport and really put it out there. And even then, like, look, the coaches, like, they liked me and, they wanted me to do well, but that's where I got a lot of the mental toughness, because they'll keep telling you you're doing shit. They'll keep telling you you're no good. They'll keep, and you just have to keep playing through it. You can't throw a strop. You can't, and if you do, they just won't play you. So it's as simple as that. I mean, I started, so I was considered one of the better players on the team. So, being a starter on the team and stuff like that, is quite, a prestigious thing for you to be on the starting lineup on the basketball team and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll get hammered into any little thing I'd done that was wrong. He would always, go mad at me, but I got to thank him for that. I got to thank him because it gave me another level of toughness in my mind. It's like, okay, you can keep telling me I'm doing crap, I'm doing whatever, but I'll still keep pushing forward and still try and prove you wrong, basically. It's I feel like my life is a lot of proving people wrong who've underestimated, who think don't think too highly of me. And I'm thankful and grateful for those experiences, because it just makes me who I am today. And when I go and fight, then it makes me want to work harder. It makes me want to improve the areas that I'm not so good at. So that's what brings that sort of mentality out. And obviously BST has helped a lot on the holes that I had in my game, which, now in fights, I almost shock people. But so I finished school when I was 18. Then I came back home because there was a decision: should I go to university there or should I come back home? My dad says, "Listen, get a job and go and let's start the fighting career. Let's get you back in this thing." And I got really motivated at that point. I was like, "Yeah, I feel this is my last chance to make it as a professional athlete," because clearly the other sports didn't work out. But I was thankful because I came back way more athletic. I came back way stronger, a lot more fatigued. Like the cardio was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Even after basketball season, all I did, so I literally had a period from January till about May when I left. All I did was lift weights. I just went to the weight room and just thought, I don't know what the hell I was doing. I was just like, I just want to get big. I just want to, drink these protein shakes and just get. And I got massive. Like within the space of a couple of months, I made some newbie gains. Like that's where my bench max went up and my power cleans went up and stuff like that. But like I said, I had no cardio when I came back home. But yeah, as soon as I came back, like everything just went, everything ramped up properly. And ever since then, I've been working my way up the ladder. I've had, a couple of things that have knocked me back. I mean, a lot of people don't even know that I had a heart operation either. I've had a heart palpitations for my whole life. So I had most of my athletic career in those other sports and in kickboxing with a heart palpitation disorder. So it's like, how the hell did I even manage to finish those fights? Because basically when it got to a certain heart rate, if you imagine your heart has like a particular circuit it goes around, and that constitutes a beat. Mine had an external circuit, which means when it got to a certain heart rate, it'll go around the smaller one. So just be like, do you know what I mean? And like proper pounding against my chest.
Yeah.
Feel lightheaded, dizzy. Sometimes I'll just keep competing. Like I'll try and just run it off, because you have to do
running off a fucking heart palpitation.
Yeah, I know.
Like it's like a bang on the knee or something. Just running it off.
Mate, I remember we'll be running in 40-degree heat. So this is Louisiana where I was. So it was like deep south, humidity, insanity. We'd be doing like 1,600 meter runs and 100 meter sprints, 400 meter runs. And the worst thing, he was like, in the 400 meter runs, he was like, you have to run faster every single time. So start your first one slow, because you have to get everyone faster. And he says, if you go slower, you're going to have to do an extra one at the end. Like, they used to push us madly. But imagine I had heart palpitations whilst that was going on. So it's like, I had to run faster whilst doing that. Obviously, at those points, like, I told him, I've got this thing, I need to recover. Then he would let me recover. But do you know what I mean? So and the thing is, the NHS are amazing. They're absolutely amazing. But at the same time, you have to really push for it. Like, you can't.
Yeah. Oh, you're telling me, mate. I know more than most.
Trust me. Like, if you you probably understand. Like, if you just tell them it's a little something, or I can't do some sport, then they'll just basically just wave it off. I remember the first doctor I saw when I was like, because I told my dad, I said, I can't compete in MMA if this keeps going on, because if it happens in a fight, I'm going to be screwed. Like, it could be very dangerous. So
yeah.
My dad was like, 100%, I agree with you. We need to get this sorted first. And so we went to the doctor, and he was like, oh yeah, we'll do a couple of blood tests and see how you are. Blood test came back, obviously nothing was wrong, because my bloods are fine. And he was like, yeah, just do this and you'll be fine. I'm like, you're not even trying to help me out. Like, and so then I got mad, and my dad got mad. We sent a letter. We went, and I said, listen, we need to see like a good doctor. We don't need to see this other doctor. We need to see this one. And then I gave like a very heartfelt story. I'm like, look, listen, this is like, I'm not fulfilling my life at all if I don't compete, and this is stopping me from competing. This is something where, okay, a regular Joe will be fine to handle this, but me, no, I can't. I need to do this. Like, this is. And luckily they felt sympathetic towards me, and they finally, what I've been telling them for like literally years, I need to do the 24-hour heart rate monitor, because they've done all the tests. They've done the fitness tests. They're like, oh, your fitness is amazing. I'm like, well, yeah, because you're making me run on a treadmill. That's not inducing the palpitations where I'm training to like a mad like heart rate.
Yeah.
So, we put the heart rate monitor on, and we did pads. Lo and behold, boom, I had a palpitation that was recorded. They found it, and they got it sorted. Worst operation of my life, because I was awake the whole time, was prodding wires up my bloody groin all the way up into my heart. Like, felt like I was like some alien was like coming up my body. I was like awake the whole time, and they had to induce the palpitations. They had to find where it was. They had to do like radio waves, which felt like heartburn, but like times 1,000. Like, it was bad. Mate, that operation, I was literally crying on the table, because they didn't put enough anesthetic in my leg. So I literally just felt these wires up my leg. Like, it was painful.
It's nasty.
Mate, and then they couldn't stop the palpitations either. So at one point, it got to the point where my heart literally just couldn't get back to regular rhythm. It just kept on going with it. So like, go a little bit of palpitation, then stop. A little bit of palpitation, then stop. And they couldn't stop it. Like they thought, okay, this will go away in a bit, and they're like, hold on a minute, this is not good. They had to put me to sleep, shock, like the electric shock thing.
Yeah, yeah.
They had to shock my heart back into regular rhythm, which I thought was scary. I'm being put to sleep whilst they're basically electrocuting the crap out of me.
Jesus Christ.
And then, but yeah, look, everything worked out great. The operation was a massive success. I honestly had not felt better in my life. I was like, it was a breath of fresh air. At that point, I'm like, okay, now I can really go for this career and really do what I've got to do. And yeah, so then after all that, so I think I had 2 amateur fights already and all those kickboxing fights with these palpitations, which is mad. I don't know how the hell I managed to. Anyways, so once the palpitations were cleared, then I built up quite a good amateur record. I won 2 titles. I was 7-1, and then no one wanted to fight me. Like at that point, it was like literally I could not find an opponent. And I remember the last fight that basically. I was 21 as well. I was like, why are people not wanting to fight me? Like you see a lot of amateurs now who are like my age, 25, and they're still fighting amateur, which is great because you need the experience. And more people are willing to fight now. But back then, like it was weird. I was 21 going into pro. Yeah, like the last fight, the guy didn't turn up to the weigh-in on the day. And yeah, so I found out on the day I had no opponent. So I'm like, what the hell? I literally trained all this time and I got no opponent. But I was like, okay, whatever. I even talked on the mic, but I have to give credit to Dave O'Donnell and UCMMA because they gave me some great matchups. They always took care of me. I won titles on his show, so it was good. Then I fought pro. Then I went 4-0, and the first. So after I went, I think 2-0. No, I just won my pro debut, so I was 1-0. I was 21. That's when I first went out to Jackson's. And then I sparred with Arlovsky. I got their respect. They told me to come back. Arlovsky actually paid for me to stay an extra week. A lot of people don't know that either. He paid for me to stay an extra week to help him train, which was amazing because he's a lovely fella. Hits like a truck. But it's good that, again, he saw something in me. They all saw that I was talented. So, and I was only there for a short time. I was there for like 2 weeks the first time round, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. But then when I came back, I'm like, and then I won 3 fights after that. That's when I went 4-0. Then I was like, we need to go again, but we need to go for longer. And this was before I had my first title opportunity. And I was scheduled to fight Mike Shipman, but he had to pull out due to injury. So then they put in Pavel Dorofte as a replacement. And I found this when I was actually already in America, when I was training. And I was training with John Jones. And, I got amazing experience that was. I was literally like his main sparring partner. We literally trained every single day. We went round after round after round. The first time we done kickboxing, we did like 5 rounds. We did MMA. Like we trained a lot of jiu-jitsu. But yeah, like I remember even the conversation I had because the guy that I got replaced with was 16-3 was his record, and my record was 4-0. So a lot of the coaches and my dad were like, listen, we think you should take this fight. We know you can win. You just got to be yourself and blah, blah, blah. But I asked Jones, I was like, listen, this is what I got offered on the table. What do you think I should do? And he goes, listen, the smarter move would be not to take this fight and maybe take another opponent. But he said the courageous move would be to would be to take this fight because if you win, you're right on the top of the heap. And me, I love taking risks. So, but not only that, I think you've got to be. A lot of people they have big dreams and this and that, but they're a little like not to say that they're delusional, but like they don't understand either what you have to do to work to get to that point, or is your skill level actually there? Do you need to actually look at yourself and hold on a minute? I need to really work on myself. At that point, I felt I could definitely win. I was not like my skill set was definitely. Mate, I was sparring with Jones. Like, what more can you? At that point, I was like, I'm destined to be something in this sport. I just need to just go out and be myself and do what I know I can do. And it's funny because after I left, or when I came back home, I actually talked to which are now my management company. So I talked to them when I was 4-0, and they were like, oh yeah, we'll see how your career goes. We'll chat to you. We'll keep in contact. So as many people know, I actually ended up losing 2 fights in a row. I lost the one for the title by footlock, and then I got signed to Cage Warriors, and there was big things. There's big promises. There was big a big hype around me at that point. It's like even the president was like, this is no problem. You'll get back in there. You've lost one fight, but you took that too early. We can get you built back up. And I ended up losing my debut in Cage Warriors, so losing 2 in a row was quite a devastating thing for me, because after all these big things, or after all this hype about, everyone just thought I was a hype train. Like, there was a lot of downwards chat about me. This is where it goes back to being underestimated, being, talked over, being, really, a lot of people just stopped believing in me. Obviously not my family, not my dad or anything like that. There was a lot of things I had to change though after that. I had to basically change up a lot. I was overtrained massively. That's why it actually ended up causing me to get injured. But I was training 3 times a day with trying to do 100% intensity. You cannot do that. Anyone who tells you they can train 4 times a day with 100% intensity are lying to you, because it's physically impossible. And I'm telling you right now. Do you know what I mean? So that was one thing I changed, and I just trained twice a day hard and got good sessions in. Another thing was boxing sparring. This is where it comes down to the mental. I was not a killer. I needed to be a killer. Like, I was too much of a sportsman. I was too nice. I was too, I just need to go in there and perform. Not, I need to go in there and rip this guy's head off. So my mind completely changed when I went to boxing sparring, and I actually found I had quite a knack for boxing. Like, I sparred against guys like Derek Chisora, and I had to spar some top level guys, and holding my own against those guys, it showed that I do have hands, but I needed the aggression to go along with it. Like, now when I went to the sparring, it's like they are literally trying to knock me out. Doesn't matter who I am, doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter that we don't know each other. They are trying to kill you. So you have to go. I've had probably 1 or 2 concussions from boxing sparring, which evidently is not good. But now that I've learned the game and I've got the aggression, I can avoid having those sort of. But I needed it. 100% needed it. I mean, it's not often you hear I needed to have a concussion, but at the same time, I needed those experiences to realize it's a dog eat dog world. You gotta go and get what's yours. So anyways, there's a lot of things I've done that were different. My weight as well, nutrition played a big part. I realized I was severely under eating. So many athletes nowadays, severely. I hear it all the time. I'm like, how are you training so hard, eating the way you are? So that I got a completely changed perspective. Everything went great. End of the year, I'm ready to rock this. Cage Warriors didn't get me a fight, and obviously I can understand they were a little bit annoyed with me for losing that fight, which really they put it in my favor that I should have won. And but whatever the case is, they couldn't find me a fight. They said, okay, we'll find you a fight in the new year. I went to go and see my ex-missus at the time. She literally we'd been dating for 5 years, like long distance. That was where a girl that I met in high school. And she actually came to watch me my first. So I was winning 4-0, blah blah blah. She was there when I lost my first fight, and already from that moment I could tell that maybe things weren't going to work out between me and her, because already I started to see a loss of belief in her eyes. So for me, that was like a bit of a red flag here. But anyway, so I booked a trip to go to America. I was telling my dad, I don't want to go. Like, I'm in amazing shape. I don't want to go to America. I don't want to, I need to stay here and train. He goes, no, Modestas, listen. You've had a tough year. You should go and recuperate. You've paid this money. Go and relax. Come back refreshed, ready to go. New year, you're gonna be ready. But he said, stay in shape, because you could have a fight in February. So I was like, fair play. Then I went back there, and that's actually where I ended up tearing my meniscus. One of my coaches, amazing guy, Viren Keller's his name, amazing guy. Literally, every time I talk to him, he's like a brother, man. He's like a big brother. He was there for me all the time in the basketball. He was my old basketball coach. So, like, the assistant coach, he'd always take me in the morning at 6 a.m. to come and help me shoot hoops and stuff like that. So, amazing fella. And he really wanted to help me out with the MMA. So he's like, yeah, we're gonna. He found a gym for me, like a massive space. I'm like, bloody hell! If these MMA gym, if these sort of outside behind, gyms got cleaned up a little bit, man. Like, America could do quite well, like, in terms of having gyms elsewhere instead of just at American Top Team. Like, they had some good facilities. Anyways, I was just doing my spinning kicks like normal. Everything's going fine. And the next thing you know, I just do a spinning 360 or 540 or whatever, like normal. I landed on it properly. It wasn't like I landed on it awkward or whatever. And I just hear a rip, and and like my knee just swelled up, and I'm like, oh, this could not have happened at the worst time.
Yeah.
So, and especially because I was in another country as well, like my friend had to help me pay to even get seen by a doctor, because they're all private. They don't, have an NHS like we do. So yeah, that was a bad thing. I mean, and then from that point onwards, everything went downhill in my relationship. Like, she still loved me and we're all cool, but like every time the conversation would come, so the question would always be, how long are you doing this fighting thing for? How long are you doing this and that? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna do this until I'm UFC champion. Like, there's no two ways about it. Like, I ain't stopping. You're not gonna see no quitting me. Anyways, so when I came back home, so up until this point, I had a sponsor who helped me train, like, and amazing. He helped me out for a long time, fair enough. But I got left in quite a bad spot. So, initially I was told that I would have the operation paid for. That didn't happen. So we ended up prolonging when I could have got recovered. I had to go to the NHS, which again, luckily, they literally in 1 week. I told them about my leg injury. I told them about my career. I said, listen, this is my livelihood. In 1 week, they got it sorted. I'm like, bloody hell, thank the Lord. Do you know what I mean? Like, seriously, NHS pulled through once again for me.
Yeah.
Amazing. So when they do, like, like, they can help you a lot. It just, you have to really, nag it into them. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I basically, when I came home, I had a conversation with my ex-girlfriend again. She said, like, her family started not liking me because basically they just didn't believe in me. They're like, oh, now he's got injured. Or now, how long is it going to be before he comes and moves in? So I decided to end it. Like, what's the point? Like, we need to do our own thing. So I just split up with a long-time girlfriend, which was emotionally heartbreaking. I just lost a sponsor, which now I'm literally left with no money. I have no way of income. I'm injured. I still need an operation. I'm like, what do I do? I was literally at the low, like, I was at the lowest of the low. There was times where, mate, I tell you, mentally, like, it was very, like, I was in a deep depression. My dad would come into my room a lot of days, and I'll just be crying because I'm like, I can't handle this. The cocodamol that I had for my knee after the operation, honestly, that's what helped me at least stay a little bit even sane, because it made me, like, not think about how bad things were, like, because it makes your head, like, go spaced out a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, mate, there's times where, if you were talking, like, real deeply, like, there would there was a couple of thoughts of suicide even. Like, it was bad, man. Like, I literally was like, how the hell am I going to come back from this? And it was only the people that were close to me, the people that loved me and supported me, like my dad, like my family, my stepmom, my sister, and stuff like that. That really, my dad always told me since day one, Modestas, I believe in you. This is nothing that's going to stop you. You need to come back from this. You're going to be stronger. You're going to be fitter. You're going to be better. I have to give credit to my mum as well. She helped. So the road to recovery happened when I went to go and do my the physio. I took it very seriously every day, obviously. But again, I had no money, so I need to figure out how the hell I'm going to get money. So she helped me pay for my PT course. I got my PT qualification. I went and worked I finally found a job at a gym. The rehab started going better. I was coming back. I started being able to do wrestling. So, mate, everything just started spiraling upwards after that. It was a very slow process, but we started getting back. But still, there was a lot of doubt in people's minds. You should see when I was in the training room, man. Everyone was like, yeah, he was good, but is he really that good? And I'm like, and I could see it, because you can see the contrast from how I was then to how it is now, which is mad, but understandable again, because unless you're performing, people ain't going to believe in you, are they? So, anyways, so I went on a massive, like, then after that, won the kickboxing fight, won 2 fights in a row on Cage Warriors. I was even scheduled to fight Kenneth Berg at one point. And then he pulled out a couple days out from the fight, and then he ended up turning up to the event and in my opponent's corner as well, which I thought was a bit strange. But anyways, then I dislocated my left knee. Like, mate, it's just a whole roller coaster. Then I recovered, and then I got the Fight Star Championship opportunity. I won the belt. And then at this point, because Cage Warriors weren't finding me a fight, do you guys genuinely not believe in me? Because I just now won the Fight Star belt in the first round, like, by TKO. I just won 2 fights for you earlier. Yeah, they weren't the best performances, but I won those fights. Like, I told them, me and my dad were like, give me someone good. Give me someone that you think is going to pose me a threat and that's going to get me out of there. They gave me Marcin Wojciech, very tough opponent, very respectful, very good guy, like very well respected in Poland as well. Like he fought for the KSW title twice, so he was like very well known. I was losing. It's a story of my life, you know. I was down on the scorecards. I was losing the whole time, and then second round, my dad told me the whole sequence, the whole of 2019. Every last sequence, my dad told me the exact sequence to finish my opponent. He goes, knee, landed a knee, started landing some punches, landed a head kick. Then he goes, spinning back kick. Like you see him on the camera, he's like, ah. And then spinning back kicked him, knocked him out in the second round. At the end, when I was losing the whole fight, everyone thought I was going to be out. And then that's when people started thinking, okay, there might be something about him. They're still not convinced, but they're like, okay, he's got good striking, but yeah, you know, his wrestling defense ain't great. This is where I spent a lot of time extensively at BST and all my jiu-jitsu gyms to really get back up to even with my dad as well, showed me some sambo techniques just to help me get back up to my feet. That's where the shark tanks are. I literally force myself in bad situations to try and improve and alleviate those problems. And then, then we get onto the title fight. What, 4-1 underdog, something crazy. I was a massive underdog. Like literally everyone counted me out. They're all talking on these podcasts. It really, in my head, I just used it as fuel. But looking back on it now, I'm like, you lot literally thought I was a washover. Like I had nothing for this guy. They were all too. Even when he had interviews before, I stayed respectful. But before, apparently, he was saying, "Oh yeah, he's skilled. You know, he's got heart, but he's not very skilled," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, say what? But yeah, so massive underdog. They were all talking about him going to UFC Copenhagen. And I heard it so many times. And I'm like, do you know what, motherfuckers? I'm going to go out there and do your boy, and I'm going to be the one that's going to be in the spotlight after this. Because I'm like, you think that you're just going to walk all over me? What, first 2 rounds? It ain't going to happen. And then I end up, listen, respectful. You know, he's a great athlete, good guy. You know, we had a good fight. You know, I end up beating him in the fourth. But it's like, don't think you're going to walk all over me in the first 2 rounds. Like, I'm not a washover fight like the guys that you fought. So that was the second high-level guy that I beat. Got the Cage Warriors belt. That's when I got in the spotlight. That's when that same agency that had talked to me when I was 4-0 said, I've been watching your whole career. Let's chat about management. And boom, they are now my management. So it's crazy how things come full circle. Like, they talked to me ages ago and they still believed in me. They still saw potential in me. And then they see I won even before that I won the title, they contacted me and said, listen, after the fight, let's talk about management. So they already believed that I was going to win that fight anyways. And I did. So everything just played out amazing. This is where visualization helped out a lot. Mate, I could go on for ages. But like I say, then after that, there was already talks that I could get into the UFC at that point. They're already saying, you know, you could get on at last minute on Copenhagen. So we were waiting for that. We were seeing what was going to go on. It didn't, obviously we didn't get the call up because no one pulled out or anything like that, but I was fine. But then the question was next, like, what do we do? And I'm like, I want to fight. So my management was like, listen, we can wait or you can fight. And I said, I want to fight. I'm a fighter. This is what I do. If I'm going to be scared about losing now, then why the hell am I in this game? Like, if I don't think I'm going to beat these guys now, why the hell am I, do you know what I mean? So I took a fight against another top ranked opponent, a top Italian guy. Literally, his only loss was to a guy that's in the UFC now. And then, you know, I beat him in the first round. Again, very respectful guy, very good athlete. But again, they all played like more of the wrestling game. And then I got back up to my feet. And then again, the same sequence. My dad goes, elbows, elbows, elbows. Next thing you know, the elbows landed and they struck badly. Everything that happened in all these fights, I visualized everything. This is what people don't get either. I literally sit there and envision all what would happen from the walkout to the change room. I felt like I was having deja vu. How the hell do you go into a fight already having deja vu? That's already when I knew I'd won. Same like in the title fight. I felt like I was having deja vu even then. So it's mad how everything just comes out to play. And yeah, then obviously even my management were talking to me and like, you know, we're trying to figure out like what's next or what are we going to get to the UFC? What's going to happen? Because I just defended it. And they were literally telling me that defending my belt again probably wouldn't raise my stock anymore. Like, yeah, it would add to my record to be experienced, but realistically, would that help you get to the UFC? Probably not. So I was like, so what do we do? They were talking about the Contender Series. So I agreed with them. I was like, 100%. So the deal was we're probably going to fight in June in the Contender Series because they do want me on there. And then next thing you know, just after New Year's or just before New Year's, I had a conversation, and that was the conversation I had with my manager, like trying to figure out like what's going on. Like I just need to know. I want to know where my career is going. I've just defended my belt. You know, surely I should be, you know, getting somewhere here. And then he goes, listen, let me talk to the matchmaker, and then when he comes back from holiday, and then we'll get it sorted for you. And then yeah, he gave me the call like literally about 4 or 5 days later. At 3, well, at 1 a.m, he called me. Obviously, I was asleep. But then at 3 a.m, I woke up for, you know, like the morning pee that you need to go to. You know, you wake up and go to the toilet after I've been smashing down 6 liters of water. And then yeah, I woke. And the things I woke up at 3 o'clock. I'm like, should I call my manager back? Is it really that important? I was like, yeah, why not? I'm awake now. Why not? Thought nothing of it. Called him, and he had like a pooled call with all the rest of the guys in my management team, and I'm like, he never really does that. Like usually I just talk to him personally or whatever. And then he goes, how you doing, Modestas? I'm like, I'm all right. I mean, you know, it's 3 a.m. I've not been able to sleep, you know, whatever. And he goes, well, I don't think I don't think that's gonna bother you too much after I tell you this. I'm like, really? What's that? He goes, how do you feel about fighting in the UFC? I'm like, no way. Like I said wow for like literally like the next 10 minutes. I was just like, wow. Wow. I was just like literally just sitting there. I couldn't believe it. But at the same time, like, and again, this might go into some questions that people would ask me, but you know, it wasn't such a shock when they told me. Like, although it was like, oh my gosh, wow, like crap, like we're in the UFC, like it's surreal that you know, that you've been dreaming for has actually happened. The dream has become reality. At the same time, that was the logical next step for me. For me, that's what I wanted next. That's what I'm working for. So why would I, you know, why would I feel like, oh my God, like now I feel like I'm ready. Like this is like the logical next step. So realistically, I've just gone through the whole journey that, you know, maybe put into a book someday after the career's over. But yeah, so I've been through a lot of ups and downs, and I've got to be very thankful because, mate, if I didn't have the people that supported me over all this time, I would not be where I am. If I didn't have my dad, if I didn't have my stepmom, my mum, my sister, and all the people that are very close to me, and all my teammates like BST, do you know what I mean? Roger Gracie Academy, Mill Hill, BJJ, like all like Legion Wrestling. There's so many people, that are just so close to me, they want me to do well, especially Danny Batten. I mean, you obviously talk to him as well. Like you can see he really cares about me. There's the, like, you know, as much as my dad cares about me, Danny has that same sort of level of care, and he has that the same with all of his athletes. So, and I feel the same like that with all my coaches. I don't feel you can be anywhere else. Like when Denison is in my corner, like, you know, he may not see me for a month or whatever, but you'll come in the corner and you'll give me all the best advice that I need to go out and, or give me a little trick that I'm like, oh yes, I could definitely use that. They really care about me. I feel if you want to be the best or you want to be at the top, you got to have people that are like your family. And I'm just so thankful and grateful that I've got guys that I connect with really well. Because that's what's going to help me at the end of the day. Sorry, I went on like
man.
for a whole hour, but
no, you're all right, mate. So that was awesome because like you say, you just took us through from the start to where we are now. And it's funny because like so I'll ask, you know, guys, athletes, fighters, footballers, whatever, actors, musicians, the same question. And I recently did one with someone who I'm not going to name because it was a really good interview and it was cool and I like him a lot. But it was just like I asked them and they went, I'm from here. And that it was like one sentence and it was like, oh, come on, give me a bit more. And you just gave me 45 minutes life story. That was awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I'm quite the talker, as you can tell.
Yeah, that's good. That's good when we got this stuff coming. But you know what? Like about 20 minutes in, I was thinking, oh, could I just go and nip out there, have a quick smoke, come back, and he still be talking? But no, that was good. It was cool. I loved it. A lot to unpack from all that. So I kind of wrote a couple of things down just as we were going through. Like obviously, you mentioned you went to private school, which is pretty unusual for, you know, for fighters and stuff. Really, you know, like a lot of fighters that wouldn't have that education behind them. And you know, you can tell instantly by like just talking to you and stuff that you're well educated, well spoken. Obviously you've learned loads of different sports. Basketball was the one that then basketball and American football interested me, particularly basketball, because you said like you're good at basketball. and then obviously you went out to the US for a couple of years. Did you notice a difference in the standard of basketball from like the UK to then when you go to America and it's like everyone's shit out at it?
I mean, listen, what I would say is that, okay, if you imagine all now the top players in Britain can hang with the Americans, no problem. The top, I'm talking the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
But like, there's not that many of them in Britain. Like, there's not as many. Like in America, like all the guys that are like the cream of the crop here, there's way more of those guys in America, because obviously that's like one of their main sports, along with like baseball, American football. Like basketball is like one of their big time, the NBA's over there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of kids that start very early, and they end up doing really well at it. I think the standard is just different. Like they're a lot more professional, especially in school, man. You've got to imagine, we were in high school. This is not even college level. Like I'm talking, this is like 14 to 18 years old. Guys who are like getting like NFL, NBA type coaching for strength and conditioning, and like the sessions, I'm talking like a school team. Like I'm talking a school team.
Yeah.
He would tell us to wake up at 5 a.m. to go and train before we went to class, and we'd still have to go and do class, and then we'd have to train after school as well. So, mate, they took things extremely serious. But you can see why America does so well, because they literally, their sports teams they get all the sponsorships as well. Like over here, you don't get much like support, I guess, in schools for sports and stuff like that. If you're at the top level, then yes, but not for like grassroots or anything like that. Over there, I went to school. They must have had at least 40 different sponsors from the parents of the school. So I like all these banners of all these different companies. Like they really want to see the school. I mean, listen, our school sports in that particular school that I went to, well, we were ranked. Like, listen, we went to the state semi-final game. Like, that's a big deal. We lost to the team, I think, that ended up winning it. But the team that we played against, that we lost to, our tallest guy was 6'5". I was the second tallest guy on our team, and they had 3 guys who were over 6'5". So they had like,
Jesus.
And I was guarding a guy who is now playing in the NFL. Like the guy that I was guarding was at 18 years old, 250 pounds, and 6'8".
Jesus Christ.
He was a muscle-bound, like absolute crazy. Do you know what I mean? And I'm guarding guys like that. This is another thing. I've been competing with like top-level athletes like pretty much my whole life. So, in America, the level of when teams want to do well, like obviously the ones that are lower down, they probably don't care as much. But the reason why they're not doing so well is because their coaching isn't that great or whatever. But the school that I went to, they took it very seriously, and I can imagine for about at least 60% of schools, that's what they're all like. They want you to really get the most out of your sporting career, which is why their basketball is on a whole nother level in comparison to the rest of the world. They beat teams by 40 points.
Yeah, like even like college American football or basketball, it's like on TV and stuff. Like they just take it all so so seriously, and like they like you say, that when you take sport and competitions that seriously, and you put the work in, like away from the competitions or off the field, you're going to see the results that to that. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these questions that we had then. So like some of them you've answered actually, like how old were you when you first started training? So we'll leave that. Amateur fights. One thing I noticed, I've spoken to like a couple of MMA fighters now, and a lot of them have come from like a background of kickboxing or taekwondo and stuff like that, and then naturally graduated into MMA, which I always find interesting, because obviously, like, I'm assuming like professional taekwondo or professional judo and stuff like that is not going to be as lucrative long term as MMA fighting. But equally, you want to compete at the highest level, and I think MMA now, compared to say 10 years ago, is just a different beast, because now you've got to be good at everything, every discipline, or you ain't getting to the top.
100%.
Whereas last year, like 10 years ago, you could get away with being like a top striker and then okay at like basic grappling, defense, whatever. You got no chance of doing that now. Okay. So, what was your family's reaction when you first told them that you were going to the UFC?
Again, it's probably a different reaction to what most people would expect. I mean, well, some of it may be what you'd expect, but listen, it was 4 a.m. when I found out this information, so obviously it wasn't exactly the best time to, sort of find everything out. But yeah, so what? Like, I think 5 o'clock, my dad woke up anyways, and I came up to him. I told him, yes, Dad. Guess where we're going? And I said, and then he was like, what? And I'm like, oh, we're going to do the UFC, baby. And like, you just see a massive smile on his face, literally smiling from ear to ear. My stepmom, Rose, absolutely lovely woman. She was jumping up and down. She was like, do you know what I mean? It was just the vibe. What I noticed was my dad, he had a reaction of he's extremely happy, but he's like, okay, that's what we expected. That's what we wanted.
Yeah.
That's what we've been working towards. Like, this is nothing new to us. We know that this is where we need to be. So in a way, he was just like, he just got very motivated for training. He got very excited, but you could see that the whole vibe in the house was just of pure just happiness and excitement. Like, we're in the UFC where we're doing bits now. This is what we've been working towards. Like, everyone in the house, it's just an aura of happiness. Like,
yeah,
if you can imagine, we'd just be walking around doing normal things, and we're just a bit more enthusiastic, or a little bit more, we're just a bit more like infused and like happy. Like, so it's crazy. It's just the whole vibe was just a pure, like, like heartfelt emotion in the house that you can tell by the way we were talking, by the way we were acting, and it's still the same now. Like what I found out about a month ago, and this is still the same sort of vibe. But at the same time, obviously, like it's weird because I haven't seen them that happy, like that crazy happy. Like, as obviously I'm the same, but yeah, it's still the same sense of we still got work to do. We need to become better. Like, there's still the thought of this ain't like a lot of people can already sit on that and be like, oh, I'm in the UFC. Yeah, that's great. No, there's a hell of a lot of work to be done. So obviously I just get back into the gym. I just do what I got to do. Over Christmas, I was still training. So, I think being a martial artist as well, you have to constantly try and improve yourself. You have to constantly try and level up because, like you said, the game's going up, man. Like, trying to beat the top level guys, you have to have a vast skill set. So I'm constantly just trying to get better. I'm always humbled in training. Always have guys that are better than me. But this is why I think I'm having to level up, because I'm constantly facing, especially guys at BST, all the jiu-jitsu gyms I go to, the wrestling gyms I go to. Everywhere, I'm always trying to level up. This is why I never get ahead of myself, and I'm thankful for that again as well. So, but yeah, pure happiness is like pure heartfelt joy is what I can explain as to the reaction of my family to that.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things, I guess, where it's like everything you've worked towards, but equally on the other side of it, it's like, right, now the hard work really begins as you try to conquer, the UFC. And light heavyweight, there's a couple of names in there which could potentially be fights for you down the line, maybe.
Yeah.
So you mentioned like BST and Danny Batten a couple of times. Johnny asked a question sort of relating around that. Check out the Danny Batten MMA show every month at least on Ace Podcast Nation, by the way. Excellent show. Danny's a real good guy. He's technical analysis when doing those shows. I just, it's amazing.
Yeah, really good. Really intelligent guy.
So Johnny asks, what is Danny Batten's involvement and influence on your training and camps?
Well, so I've known him for quite a while now, actually. It was mainly after like my operation, I started getting back into training. I started heading over there a little bit more. So when I was just getting ready for my debut, I believe, yes, he wasn't in my corner for that fight, but it was the one where so after Sweden is when I literally started doing a lot more work at BST, and then that's when I started involving him in my corner and stuff like that. So yeah, about 3 years. We've known each other for about 2-3 years maybe. We used to spar at Rogers actually. Like we used to like I remember Linton would come down, like Hodger when we were training all together. And he always told me you're more than welcome. Like Raymond as well, they always said you're more than welcome to come down. And I thought, yeah, I might as well just see what they're all about. And I think the bond that we created, like, listen, we get on very well as people. Like I said, I believe him more than just a coach. He's a friend. I feel like he's family. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, he really cares about me, and I really care about him. Like we always have a good time, and we have a good time in training. That's another thing. Like, although you got to be serious, you got to get down to it. But like, we have that connection where we have a good relationship. I feel like you need that with your coaches. So I'm glad that I had that with him. But the main influence, man, is he gives me the whole new perspective he gives me the perspective to the game where I can succeed. So everything he does links exactly with what my dad says, exactly, and what Denison says. So I'm like, everyone on my team just gels together. So Danny's like an integral part of the whole structure, because all the stuff that we're doing, like all the training that we've done specifically, he's got a very good fundamental understanding of everything that you need to do in MMA, which a lot of people don't have. A lot of people have that singular track mind of, we need to be good at every art singularly. Yeah, of course you do. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, as a martial artist, you need to try and be good at everything in their individual aspects. However, you need to be able to gel it together and know what to do in an MMA situation. Danny is the king of that. Danny is the king of that. Like, literally, if you ask him any situation, what you should do in MMA, I've started trying to mold my mindset to what he would try and do, or he would tell me to do. And it's definite. Like, for example, the fight that I won with Dan Kaneki, that was a lot of the training that we done with the ground and pound from the back. Even then, I didn't do everything right. I tried to get as much of it right as I could. I finished the guy and managed to control him using the techniques that we done in the session, like literally 2 or 3 weeks beforehand.
That's cool.
All the shark tanks that we done, all the wrestling stuff, all the wrestling defense, mate. I literally was all the wrestling defense stuff, along with what my dad was telling me as well. Everything played exactly how it should have in the Hamlet fight. Everything he had told, he wasn't worried. Like, this is another great connection we have as coach and fighter. I was in the corner and it looked quite dodgy. Like, my dad was like, this is quite a dodgy position. He's almost in a head and arm triangle, or he's in mountain, whatever. Danny was like, he's good. He's been in this situation before. He'll be fine. That's another key thing that I think you need to know. The fact that he knows me as a fighter, he's seen me in those spots. He's like, and he's okay and he's relaxed. It helps me to stay relaxed. It helps me to know what I've got to do in those certain positions. So Danny's just a massive influence in my MMA lifestyle. Like I say, not just as a friend and a massive influence. But listen, he was a crazy athlete himself back in the day. Cage Warriors champion and stuff like that. He's got a vast amount of experience that not many coaches have. He's got like a Greg Jackson sort of mind, which is what I like about him. He's got a mind where you need to do everything in an MMA sense and to put yourself in the highest percentage to win a fight. And the thing is, he doesn't try and change my game at all. He wants me to try and improve on certain aspects of my game. He doesn't try and change it. He knows I'm a predominant striker, so he doesn't try and fall away from it. The game planning, like, listen, to stop the takedown or get back up to my feet and then land my strikes and play the jab and all this and that. Again, it gels well with my team. It gels well with me. He's like I say, he's a mastermind of the game. And again, I'm very lucky to have been put in his pot along with Raymond, mate. Like, I can't thank everyone enough. Everyone together, they're all looking out for me to get the most out of me. And I think that's another thing that really sticks out to me about Danny, is because he's trying to help me get the most out of myself. So, and he can see the improvements. He'll tell me I'm doing good. He'll see something that's not going good. He'll tell me I'm not doing good. And then slowly we try and build and work towards it. So I feel like my fundamental MMA game, it has stepped up a level, which I'm very thankful for. So big shout out, Danny.
Are you good to keep going, mate?
Yeah, we're all good, mate.
Yeah, cool. Zach says, was that you on Take Me Out season 11? How did that come about?
Right. I think it was basically a very weird sort of situation. I remember getting a friend, like, listen, I'm still naive to this day, but like, you know, just me going on the internet thinking, oh yeah, Lucy Costa, yeah, chick, let's add her on Facebook. Do you know what I mean? So I added this random person on Facebook, as a stupid idiot would do, not knowing who the hell they are. And I sort of had a couple of mutual friends. I was like, okay, why not?
Yeah.
And then I looked at it, and then it said, again, it just drew me in, like, straight away from the get-go. I added her, and then I looked at her page. It said, oh, why don't you apply for Take Me Out? Again, I thought nothing of it. I'm like, oh, well, okay, cool. Yeah, sure, I'll apply for Take Me Out. Why not? I do my whole application. It took me about 30 minutes, because I was chatting a lot of crap on there. Like, in terms of, I would just answer it the way, like, you know, whatever. I was being very sarcastic and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And then about 5 minutes later, after I'd done the application, this is how you know they like fished me out, because 5 minutes after I'd done the application, I got a phone call because it asked for your number and all that. And then it was from an unknown number. Now, listen, I don't pick up phone calls from unknown numbers, because obviously you don't want to get pranked. I don't want to talk to some business, you know, guy or someone from a bank. So I just left it. Then I get a message on so again, like 2 minutes later, I get a message on Facebook. Oh, hey, this is Lucy from Take Me Out. Would you like to take a phone call about your application? I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, why not? Again, just completely oblivious to everything. And then we had about an hour, like, a long conversation, man. As you can tell, I'm a talker, so I definitely delved into everything quite a lot. And you know, we went over my answers and everything. She's like, oh, okay, well, from this phone call, I can see you're quite an all right lad. I'm like, obviously. And then so then she invited me down for an audition. Went down to London. I think it was like three weeks after that phone call. And then they literally just got me to. I was in front of a camera with literally 4 other ladies. This is another thing. I had 4 other ladies in the room. And then they said, okay, now you're going to act out the whole of Take Me Out. What's your entrance song? What's your killer question? On the spot. I'm like, I had no time to prepare. I had nothing. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I didn't even know what to do. And then, so they had 5 pictures on the wall. They made me act out the whole show in this room with 4 girls just literally just like laughing at me, basically, in front of this camera. And because they had to show the producers, obviously, afterwards, just to see how you were. And then they asked you questions. I'm like, listen, I'm not the best at comebacks, yeah? So when they're like, okay, now we're gonna run the show, and the girls were saying something, you got to say something that's not too not too horrendous, you know, you're not trying to pile them on too much. Yeah, exactly. You just need to, oh my, and I was shaking up, but I'm lucky I had my 3 or 4 cups of coffee beforehand. I was feeling quite relaxed and energetic at the same time. And then I just went straight on it. I had some, you know, pretty decent answers. And next thing you know, they said, oh, we'll be in touch if you've got the, you know, if you've got the spot. And then I got an email saying you've been shortlisted, blah, blah, blah. And then, they did the VT stuff, which literally took, the VT, was literally, a 30-second clip. And they were literally there at my house the whole day, literally the whole day. And some of the things they took over the top, you know, about the religion. Listen, I'm religious. I've got religious tattoos. I believe in God. I use my faith as a tool to get me through a lot of good things and bad things at the same time. I feel like it definitely being reconnected to my faith as well when I went to America, because they're very big Catholics out there. Yeah, I was happy for that. I was very grateful that I had that experience, because it definitely helped me get through a lot of hard times, as well as, you know, being very grateful for all the good times. But they took it out of proportion. They said, oh, he reads the Bible all the time. And, you know, as soon as that happened, mate, all the girls bloody turned their lights off. But even on the show, when I got on there, man, and again on the VT, literally they told me, okay, now you just have to dance because we need it for this clip or whatever. I'm like, are you being serious? I'm talking in front of, so I live in an apartment, but it's like a Tudor sort of house. And quite a nice area we live in. And all my neighbors are looking out their windows, coming out. You see people walking past. I'm shaking my ass off in literally spray on jeans in front of a camera. I look like an absolute moron. But anyways, so that was part of that. And then on the show, man, it was more nerve-wracking than going out to a fight. No joke. I'm talking, there was 4 guys on my show, and I I was the last one to go out. That is the worst. I think that's the worst.
Just waiting then, and you.
If you're the first or the last, that is the worst. Literally, if you imagine all the guys, you're pumping them all up. You're like, oh, you have all the guys in the room. They're like, yeah, you're gonna do great. Blah blah blah. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, tell them they're gonna go and smash it. Blah blah blah. And then obviously, if they get a date, they go into another room and this and that. And then so all the guys just slowly start chopping away. Even the last guy, you notice the energy just slowly started slowing down. Like I was the only one pumping this guy up and blah, blah, blah. And there was like maybe one other producer in the room. And then everyone left. I was the only one left in this room.
No.
I was in this like literally like a room about the size of my bedroom. Like this small, like it looked like a bloody prison almost, like these studios. You know what I mean? Like you're in detention at school, something. And again, I was just sitting there. I'm like, I'm playing some music on the laptop. I'm like, okay, you got this, Mo. Don't worry, just show me the bit of those cheeky moves you've been practicing. And do you know what I mean? Like trying to get myself pumped up. That was the hardest part. Like there was no one to calm me down or get me ready. I had to do that all myself. And then they're like, okay, Modestas, you're next. Got all the makeup on, got the microphone in. I was like, and then when I went into the studio, you had to walk through like all these tunnels and everything, obviously behind the scenes because you're not allowed to be shown to anyone. Oh my Lord. It's like the same when you go into an arena for a fight and you hear the crowd roar. It's the same there. And I was like, oh my Lord. I go behind, like, obviously you're going behind and around all the studio to get to where the love lift bit is. And then I got to the top and I'm just like, oh my Lord, this is happening. Like you hear the crowd, you hear Paddy, you hear like, because they have in between each show and it is all live. It is like you run straight through. It's not like, oh yeah, we're gonna stop. No, it's like literally run straight through it. I got to Love It bit. They closed it off. It's like you're going into like a roller coaster ride. You know when they close everything off?
Yeah.
And I'm like the only one in there. And then they're like, oh, don't worry, you'll be fine. I'm like, fuck, you said it like a million times. Like I don't need you. Like I need you to say something good, not you're gonna be fine. Do you know what I mean? And then he goes, you know, when he finally says single man review or stuff, and you hear, like, I was just like, oh my, I was pumped. I was like literally chatting to myself up there. I'm just like, yeah, get in the mood, man. Get them hips shaking. Like, I was literally telling myself, like the producers in the back were like laughing at me, obviously. And then you see the lift slowly go down. I literally looked at the floor because I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually doing this crap. And then yeah, but once I got on there, did my little dance moves, saw the girls. I was a little bit nervous, but then I was all right, mate. I think taking risks in life is something that you just got to do. You got to get the most out of it, man. Like this is the theme of my training, my fights that I'm taking, even just talking to people, like going out on dates and this and that. Like me, mate. You just got to be yourself, enjoy it. Don't care about what people think of you, and just enjoy it. Take risks, like just enjoy the process. Like now, it's funny. Nerves now is like an adrenaline, like a rush for me. It's not like, oh my gosh, I'm shying away. It's more like this is making me become more of myself. Like now, nerves for anything is making me just like I love it. Like I feel like I'm almost on like some sort of like cocaine or so, or like it's the same effect I get from caffeine. Really, you get like a buzz. I get the same thing from being nervous, like or when I'm drunk. Like you know, you get like this buzz feeling in your head, and like that's the same feeling I get when I'm being nervous. So that just helps me to perform better. Like even in my last fight, I felt relaxed, but at the same time, I'm like I'm buzzing. Like I can't wait to get in there now. So, mate, I think that just carries over for everything. But I'm glad that I'd learned that pretty much right as I was going on the Take Me Out show. I feel like the Take Me Out show helped shape me to become the personality that I am, along with other experiences that I had in life, but it helped me to really just show people who I am instead of hiding it away, locking it away, not being myself. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that, and I was real happy that obviously that it aired a year later.
Jesus,
mate, we literally. It was supposed to be aired at the 2000. It was 2018 in November that they filmed it, and it didn't get aired till 2019 in November. And again, luckily for me, promotionally wise, it couldn't have happened at a better time because literally I had my title fight right as they showed it on TV. So obviously, Cage Warriors loved it up. I mean, listen, I would have done the same thing. They're like, oh yeah, our Cage Warriors light heavyweight champion also on Take Me Out, but it's good, mate. For promotion, it's amazing. I love it. Like good stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? You have to put all that into perspective. So it's good.
Yeah, it's worth it. What's the worst that could happen, really?
Do you know what I mean?
just like the worst thing that could have happened was like you humiliate yourself on TV.
Like once that, not everyone watches it, you might tell them about, but I'm lucky everything played out well. I look like an all right guy, contrary to what it might be in real life, but at least I look like a good guy on TV.
Did anything come of it, like dates and relationship wise and all that type of stuff?
I think I think a lot of the girls maybe didn't really understand what I did at the beginning, or maybe didn't respect it as much. I don't know how it is. I mean, like, obviously, when you hear, oh, fighters coming on TV, I can only imagine, like, oh yeah, here's a fighter. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I
don't think they really understood the extent of what I was trying to achieve. Like, me talking about it is one thing, but me going out and doing it is another thing. And I remember the girl that went on a date. Listen, we had a good time. We both said likey, we had a good date, but things just ended up not working out. I think that's the same about dating. Like, you may just find that there's something that you just don't click. Well, fair play. Like, we clicked on the date, but when we came back, we didn't. So fair enough. She came to one of my fights. She saw my Wojciech fight, so she saw me. I think what I really liked about her was that she showed genuine care about the fight that I just gone through. Like, I just come back from the scorecards, like, down, and like, the crowd was roaring when I spinning back kids and where I was like coming back. I think that might have been one of the bigger comebacks of the year. There's another good fight as well that they had. But anyways, afterwards, you should see the genuine like excitement and happiness that she had on her face. And then she talked to my dad and everything. So I was like, do you know what I mean? She's a very nice character, very nice girl. And actually, a lot of the and I had other like one of the couples that, like, literally one of the only ones that survived from the show actually came to my fight as well, and they come to pretty much most of my fights now, and they're an absolutely amazing couple also. So it's good that I made some very good connections with good people, and it's made me to learn how to talk to different types of people. I remember there was about 10 girls, or I think 10 people from the Take Me Out show that actually came to my last fight, and then I got to talk to the other girls and stuff like that. So do you know what I mean? Making connections, talking to people, getting to learn different personalities, it's all a part of life. It's all part of the learning process. You can't really, you got to be happy with all these experiences and grateful that you're able to learn as much as you can. Mate, in this process of life, you got to learn and take in as much as you can, because you only got one shot at this. You might as well just go crazy and get the most out of it. So I'm thankful that it's made me have to learn a lot of things. Like learn a lot of things about different people, how to act with people, how to talk, how to be, what the social environment of this particular type of people's like, and stuff like that. So it's great, and they did really like properly support me, which is great. Obviously I love that they were right behind me. They sent me nice messages, obviously, after my title win. So you can't be anything but happy and grateful for everything.
Yeah, and you going back to like how you ended up applying, that's how people get catfished on Facebook, by just adding random people and start clicking links and filling in forms and putting phone numbers and stuff on it. That's exactly what happens when people like steal your information or like catfish you.
Well, yeah, now you're making me sound like an idiot over here.
No, I don't mean it like that.
It's true. Like, I completely agree with you. So, like, it was a very stupid move on my part, but when I looked at the application and everything, obviously they didn't ask for any bank details or anything like that. They just asked pretty much for a phone number and an email address, and everything seemed legit. I guess you could say I'm glad everything, ended up being legit. And it wasn't me just like giving up my soul to someone on the internet. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're 100% right in that aspect.
Well, like you say, you made some friends and supporters and connections through it.
100%.
More life experience.
Definitely.
Jay asks, have you ever taken part in the team MMA fights in like Europe, in Russia and places like that? Have you seen them where there's like, say, 5 on each team, they blow the whistle, and then it's just like free for all?
That's so chaotic.
Yeah,
I can't imagine what it'd be like. I think it'll be more of an adrenaline rush in that situation. Yeah, so yeah, you're like in a very volatile situation. Like, I can only imagine what it's like. You're beating some guy up, and then some guy comes running up beside you and like knocks you in the head. It's like, how do you handle that pressure? Like, I'll be way more paranoid. Like,
yeah,
it's already hard enough just being in the cage with one person, let alone 5 people. I mean, obviously you got your teammates then helping you out, but I can't imagine what that would be like to be fighting with other, like, you have to worry about your guy, but then you got to worry about another guy. Like, what if your guy gets submitted, and then it's like, I think it's a lot more dangerous as well. Like, because what if there's like 2 guys on one guy, and they're like, it's not like they're holding back. It's not like they're playing with you. Like, they're trying to do the same thing that one person's trying to do to you. So, yeah, I mean, I've never done it. I don't plan on doing it. I think one person's enough of a struggle for me right now, especially in the UFC. So it is entertaining. I'll give him that, but I'm not sure how mainstream that stuff will get. Just because, I think the sport obviously is built around just a one-on-one sort of environment. It is entertaining, but in terms of value for watching on like a TV or like, I don't think you will get that sort of attention.
Yeah, it's more like a street fight, because like you got just like 5 versus 5, and the one I watched before on YouTube was like an elimination one as well, and it ended up like 3 guys versus 1, and it's like, Jesus Christ, what are you supposed to do with that? Like, but yeah, so you don't fancy that, okay? What's your favorite things to do in your off time?
To be honest, I like the simple things in life. I mean, look, I like going out and seeing people. I like being in the presence of people. I like joking around and, like having. Sometimes I like being to myself, but sometimes, I like going out with good friends. I've neglected a lot of friends. Like, in this whole journey, I've not talked to a lot of people. I've kept to myself, and then, I don't get the time to obviously give them my time back. So if I do get the chance on the weekends outside of training, or when I'm not training or after training, I'll never give up a training session to see anyone, just because that's just my mindset. I've got to be focused on this. But I do find time to. I like hanging out with people, mate. I've become very comfortable with wanting to see people and hang out, even meeting new people, like meeting, girls or whatever. Like, I like just having a challenge, meeting people, trying to talk to different people. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
I think when you put yourself in that position, it makes you just handle it a bit better, and it makes you enjoy that whole. I used to not really enjoy going out that much. I would literally, what my favorite thing to do as a pastime, sit at home, maybe eat like some chocolates or something, and watch TV by myself in my house. So, do you know what I mean? That's my spare time. But to be honest, I like looking at like techniques of like moves. I like looking at fights. I like looking at myself as well. I know that sounds like really vain, but I like looking at my fights. I'm trying to pick apart what things I was doing wrong, and what I'm doing now, and like, so really in my spare time, a lot of it's sort of linked to do with fighting. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I'd like to go to the sauna. Like, some friends, we go to like a spa or whatever. Like, we go to like the steam room and just chill out, chat. So realistically, I mean, when you ask like any other sort of hobbies I do, it's just meeting good people and enjoying their company. Like, that for me holds a lot of value, even just spending time with family, like spending time at home, and I get to talk to my dad and my mum. Like, after my last fight, everyone was all about go out, oh yeah, let's get smashed. Don't get me wrong, I like to get drunk. I like a bit of a party, as one does. But like, for me, I was like, do you know what, my best mate, and one of my best mates that I've known since I was 8 years old, like, insanity, just met him, like, do you know what I mean, like, as like recently, like after all that time, and we got on like a house on fire again, like as if we'd never left each other. He came to watch my fight and stuff like that. So spending time with him, spending time with my mum, my dad, like, and my sister and stuff like that, like, that was a lot, that held a lot of value. Like, I was like, do you know what, I couldn't be anywhere else in the world right now. I'm with the people that I love, and I'm enjoying this victory. So realistically, in my spare time, just spending time with good people that are close to me, people that I love, people that love me. That is something that, and you like, you can find it, like, there's fun things that you can do, like top golf, go-kart, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? But even going out for a meal and just spending time and talking to people, I think that's a big part of life. Communication is one of the finer things in life, I feel. And if you learn to be good and comfortable with communicating with people and enjoying it, you're really going to get a lot out of life, because, that's pretty much what 90% of what you do on this earth is communicate. So I just like that. Do you know what I mean?
So, yeah, definitely. Favorite fights you've had so far and why?
Moff and Hamlet fight. Probably my most enjoyable because, again, to many, it looks I was on the scorecards losing the fight. But look, at the end of the day, I look back at that fight. Okay, I lost the first round, but what? Did you really do anything in the second round? Third round, yeah, he took me down, but did he achieve anything? So, anyways, but that fight I loved because I was the underdog, massive underdog. Everyone counted me out. Everyone thought I was going to lose. And as soon as I come out of that second round and third round, people started to change their opinion of me. Or they thought, yeah, well, he's losing the fight. I mean, but like they all expect, I was going to go to the decision. And I'm like, I ain't letting this bloody fight go to. I fought in the corner after the third round. I'm not letting this go to the decision. There's no way. I have to. My dad even told me, he says, you're going to have to take it now. He says, this is your time. Championship rounds. You got, and I remember all the Shark Tanks, all the training sessions I had. You just got to go for it. That fight was very good for me because it was a bit of a strategical game. I couldn't let him take me down. I wish it would have been a bit more fun. Like I could have thrown a bit more strikes, but again, like I had to deal with some grappling exchanges, and then obviously that's when the strikers started landing. I loved it because it looked very picture perfect. Like it looked like a Rocky film going into the fourth round, and I started landing the shots, and then you hear the crowd get a bit louder as I'm starting to land shots, and then as soon as I dropped him, oh my lord, you should have heard the arena. It was insanity. When I came out at the end of that fight and I lifted up the British and the Lithuanian flags together, like that was a massive thing for me. The whole like my home country's flag and stuff like that. And you know, even one of my Lithuanian friends, he gave me the there's like an emblem, like a knight. It's like the proper like Lithuanian, like a very meaningful flag. And he threw that up for me, and I throw that into the. I think I held it upside down, unfortunately, but still, that's a meaningful thing for my country as well. So the whole experience, like the build up to the fight, the amount of people I had at that arena, I got so much attention. I never had that much attention in my life. Like it's crazy. I've always been like the underestimated, the underdog, the guy who's not the hot guy, not the guy that the girls like, and this and that, not the guy that people talk to, not in the spotlight. I've always been like dreaming for that moment, just to have a bit of attention. I've never had that much attention in my life. And then when it finally happened, I was like, I'm so happy. I'm like so grateful that I'm finally getting that. Like I just fully embraced it. Like some people may think, oh yeah, like vain, blah blah blah. But like literally, if you imagine my whole life I've living, I've never had that, and then I finally get it. I'm gonna make the most of it because do you know what I mean? Like all these people, the media and stuff like that. So that fight for me, the Hamlet fight, was like that was where after the fight I felt like I had like literally climbed Mount Everest. Like I felt like that was a massive turning point in my career. Like people would think, oh, what about your last fight? You knocked the guy out. And yeah, true. It was exactly how I'd pictured it in my head, but it didn't have quite the same effect on me as winning the belt the first time.
That was the one that changed the game, as it were.
Yes, sir.
So, as always, when we do these shows with MMA fighters, we get some questions about Conor McGregor. Did you watch the McGregor-Cerrone fight?
Yes, I did.
What did you think?
I thought, I mean, listen, he's an animal. I mean, I knew he was going to be an animal. I knew that striking, he would probably have a little bit of an edge over Cerrone, even though Cerrone, in most people's eyes, had a more technically overall game, like, you know, overall technically more sound game. But again, you don't know what Conor McGregor's been training. Again, he hides, he trains, he doesn't let people know what he's doing, and he just gets on with it. And the thing that was, you know, that really he played into it very well was the fact that Donald Cerrone does start slow. So Conor McGregor definitely took advantage of that, which is great. That was perfect game planning. Go out there, go all guns blazing, because Cerrone couldn't handle it. But Cerrone's an amazing fighter at the same time. It's just because he started a little bit slow. I thought, I mean, listen, the strikes were heavy. Like, if you've had shoulder strikes by Danny, you can understand why that geezer's like nose is broken. And Danny's not even hitting me like full power. And I'm like, bloody shoulder strikes. It's almost like annoying, but do you know what I mean? Like, you can tell why those shots affected him so much.
Yeah, definitely.
So, you know, I thought game plan wise, amazing by Conor, because he saw that Donald Cerrone start slow and he capitalized on it. I mean, what can you say? I mean, both of them are amazing fighters. Just game plan wise, Conor McGregor outdid Cerrone in that fight.
Yeah, I felt like the shoulder strikes shook him a bit and busted his nose up, and then he followed it up with like a knee and that high kick, and I kind of think that was game over from there. Did you
Yeah.
feel like Cerrone took a few too many blows to the head in the ground and pound, or do you think they had to give him that opportunity to recover?
Yeah, I think they had to listen. It was a big fight, you know. At the end
You
of
don't
the
want to
day,
call it early, do you?
yeah, they wanted to see if he could actually get back up to his feet afterwards. Yeah, from a sympathetic point of view, you could say, yeah, maybe it was a bit too many strikes on the ground, but it's MMA, mate. And at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
definitely. I saw a lot of people saying on Twitter, particularly saying like, with everything you know about CTEs and stuff these days, did he need to take could he have taken like 5 or 6 less,
yeah.
blows to the head? But I mean,
But look,
it's top
then
level
you,
fighting at the end of the day.
yeah. Well, you got the same people who are saying, "Oh, fights are getting stopped too quickly."
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you know,
spot on.
there's two sides of the coin, really. I think in a high-profile fight like that, you should let it go on a little bit longer. But listen, he was covering up. He looked like he was moving, and then it got to a point where he was like done. So
Yeah,
that's when Herb stepped in. So do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I think he couldn't really have done it any other way. So you know, credit to the referees for stepping in at a time where you know things could have got bad. So
yeah.
he took some shots, but you know he sorted it out anyways.
Indeed. McGregor, actually, I thought, looked back to his better than he has done for a while. I thought he looked refreshed, sharp, and like the Conor McGregor who's come up obviously and changed the game for everyone.
Yes,
That was so. We'll see where he goes from here. Which British fighter do you see having the potential to be a future UFC champion apart from you?
what? Who's in the UFC right now, or
Just anyone, I think.
no? Well, there's a couple, to be honest with you. Like if you're talking about people who aren't in the UFC, I'll definitely say Jordan Vicenic. I know you've probably had talks about him before, but he's a top level fighter, very skilled, very good on the ground as well. He's very tricky. He's very explosive. He's got a good striking style. I think that will be something that will be a real handful for people. As long as he keeps training, keeps doing his thing, keeps working everything, he'll be a star. That's just building up. He's only just getting started. He's in he's in a similar position I was. You know, you're very young. You know, I think 23 or something, and you know he's just now raising up the ranks. So that's a great fight. I have to admit another guy as well. Emre Sonmez is an amazing fighter. That's another big time dude, I think, and he's a close friend of mine as well. I think he's very skillful in every aspect, especially in the wrestling, especially in the striking. So, you know, but one guy that I think in a British fighter that in the UFC right now, I would say Jack Shaw.
Good man.
Jack Shaw is very highly skilled. Very highly skilled. If you look at the way he picked apart his last opponent and the way he's been picking apart his opponents in his last couple of fights, he's an animal. Absolute animal. I remember even just sitting next to him, and like he's very humble. He's a good guy. Like you know, you can tell that his skill set is only improving. Like he's got a very, it's good. His dad's one of his coaches as well, so I think that's another bit of. I think, you know, with my dad being my coach, I think that's everything in your favor to have some guy, you know, someone that's very close to you to help you in that game as well. But he's very concise with his movements, and he's very good on the ground. He's got good. So look, listen, I know that he'll rise up the ranks very quickly because, for example, if the striking exchanges don't go so well, or he's got a guy that's very powerful and explosive, he'll be able to take them down, no doubt. Or if they're trying to take him down, he'll be able to stop it. So skill set wise, he's probably one of the highest skill set guys coming out of Britain. Mate, I could go on. There's so many good British fighters these days. Darren Stewart is another one who's come out who started to really find his feet in the UFC, in the middleweight division. He's really starting to come out as a prospect, because he beat a big time wrestler in his last fight, Darren Wynn. So it's just showing, like, listen, the Americans can't keep ruling it forever. The British are literally, the British are coming, like, and for me, representing Lithuania as well, so Lithuania's coming as well. But realistically, the difference between the skill levels of all the arts put together now is not as much. The discrepancy is now from like out here to like here. The discrepancy is not so much. What they got to realize is that British people can now also wrestle. So yeah.
We had Jack Shaw came on the show actually, and you were right, like, just completely humble dude, and like we didn't manage to get through all the questions just because me and him, like, a bit like what me and you do, just chatting and talking, and he's just a cool dude, so everyone should check out that.
Yeah,
just another little plug. Look, I'm conscious of the the amount of time I'm taking, so I'm gonna fly through a couple more. Oh, that's an interesting one. Okay, so John asks, would you rather have some warm-up fights that, shall we say, are more winnable to start to get some momentum, or would you prefer to do someone like what Brett Johns did and work your way up quick and then take on top-ranked fighters? I think I know the answer to this, but
well, listen, I think by the time I'm 28, I want to be fighting for the world title. So if you put that into perspective, I've got to be doing quite a lot quite quickly. So I want to keep active. I want to keep fighting. At the end of the day, I feel like I'm ready to fight the top 15 now. You give me anyone in the top 15 now, I feel like I could fight him now. What is the thing that needs to be done is not so much because skill-wise, like, I definitely could beat these guys. It's a case of being mentally ready to go out there. You need to have appropriate steps up forward to just feel more confident out there. Cage Warriors done it. Look, they literally throw me into the deep end straight away at that Wojciech fight, which I asked them for. So, I mean, listen, if I got thrown into more of a deep end in the UFC, I would take that fight and I would go. Obviously, it's up to my management. It's up to my coaches as to what, my route will be. But listen, depending on my confidence, depending on how I handle the situation, it's how it will go. Like, doesn't matter who they give me, skill set wise, I feel I'm better. So all it is now is, okay, you mentally overcome it. Things are going to happen very quickly. You can get in the top 15 of the first 3 fights. It's actually written on my little vision board that I'll be in the top 15 by the end of this year. So I'm working to make a statement. I'm not here just to, fill in the numbers and, he's another British guy that had a fight. I want to go and take over. So, I'm looking to, within at least 6 or 7 fights, get a title shot. So, you know what I mean? How that route goes, if it means that I get pushed up to the higher ranks after the 4th fight or whatever, or however they want me to do it, I'll do it. But I'm ready to take on whoever they give me.
Excellent. Yeah, I can't fault you, mate. Okay, to finish off then, I like to ask a couple of fun questions. So, who is the biggest dick you've met in the fighting world so far?
The biggest dick that I've met in the fighting world so far? Don't know, man. I've not really.
You're too nice, aren't you? So you're too nice to like.
I've not. Well, to be honest, I've not given many people much reason to be do you know what I mean? To be a dick to. So, I mean, listen. If we're gonna say anyone, I mean, listen. I've been very respectful all the time, as you know. I don't chat shit to no one really, unless they're giving me some shit. As of recently, I've had Kenneth Berg try and call me out to fight on UFC London card. I understand you got to do promotion. I've said this on other podcasts before. I understand you got to do promotion. I understand you got to try and get there. But listen, don't do it the way of I'm gonna call out a guy who's in the UFC, but I'm not in the UFC yet just because I want my spot. Don't do that. Yeah. Go and fight and earn your spot. Go and win the Cage Warriors title. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, go and fight on a big promotion. Go fight top level guys, beat 3 of them in a row, then maybe you get your shot. But don't go trying to call the UFC guys straight away when you don't deserve it. So, I mean, listen, I have no disrespect to anyone who's competing in this game because it's a hard and tough sport. But listen, everyone counted me out when I fought Martha and Hamlet, and they're all chatting shit about me. And now look what they're saying. Do you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you know, if that could be anyone that I'll call the biggest dick or whatever, it's just like, you know, I understand it's for promotion, but just be reasonable about it. Like there's you're not going to get big fights by just asking for it. And because you got loads of followers or you're good looking or whatever, you need to go and earn your spot. Go and earn it, then you can have it.
Fair enough. Who's the most famous person in your phone contacts?
John Jones.
That's good, I guess. What's he like as a person? Because he gets a bad rep because, you know, he's made mistakes.
Don't watch all that. Listen, there's plenty of people that have loads of demons, but they're not in the spotlight. He is. So he's just had the wrong end of the stick. Like, he's just had bad rep because he's in the spotlight. I'm telling you, I've heard some crazy stories about fighters, man. Like, you lot don't even know. Like, there's some fighters who do some obnoxious things, and they're not getting done for it because they're not as famous or they're not as, and they're let go. It's okay for them to do that. But as soon as John Jones does something, he gets nabbed for it. So what people got to realize is he's just like me and you. He's just like every other fighter, every other person. He's got feelings. He's a good guy. He's a genuine character. He wants to improve. He was very respectful to me. He's a lovely guy. He's got good banter, good energy about him. Unfortunately, he just got himself into some situations. Everyone gets themselves into situations. So I think people should look less on, though. Obviously, they're not great situations, but you don't know what that person's going through either. No. You know, you until you know exactly what everything's about. Don't be quick to rain on someone's parade. Do you know what I mean? Because everyone's got problems. Like, this is why when I look at people and I'm like, you know, they're upset or they act a certain way, I'm like, I don't know what's going on in their life. Listen, it's the same for me. People don't know what was going on in my life, and they all counted me out. And then, you know, now people are starting to see what really went on behind the scenes. So, but he's an absolute lovely fella. I mean, listen, I can't. There's not enough good things to say about him.
Is he the greatest of all time?
100%, without a doubt. If you look at the striking, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu aspect, he's molded those together the best out of anyone. He's taken down all the best names in MMA. So realistically, the amount of defenses he's had, he's never really lost. That Matt Hamill loss, I mean, you know, disqualification by elbows. The thing is, he's never been beaten. So I think that is as much as an indication to say that he's greatest all time as anyone. You know what I mean? And he does it in an entertaining way. He does it with the striking, the wrestling, and the jiu-jitsu. And now he has to be a bit more calculated, but still, he's more entertaining, and he strikes well. So yeah.
Like for me, like you compare him, who's basically never been beaten, and then you compare him with Khabib, and if you gave me a choice of watching either one fight, I'd pick John Jones every time.
That's exactly the point. Yeah. Like, he's just entertaining to watch, and he's an entertaining personality as well. So the full package. This is what I'm going to be trying to work towards.
Will we ever see? Would you fight him?
I think any time your idol, like the guy that you've been looking up to, the guy that gave you the confidence, the one that you've been watching on TV, and like you've been like, oh my gosh, I want to do what he's doing. Like you've looked up to someone, to have them standing across the cage from you, and like now you get to experience that whole situation yourself. I think that's that would be like literally the biggest thing to ever happen in my life, is to go and stand across John Jones in the cage. And obviously that's what I'm working towards. Listen, I want to work my way up the ranks and try and get to him before he retires. So you know, as any young fighter wants to do, you got the greatest of all time considered, and you know, you've trained with him in the past, and you will just want to compete against the best. I want to compete against the best in front of the world. And I think it would be if it ever gets to that point, I think it would be an amazing fight. But for me, that would be like I can't even describe to you how much meaning that would be, just to step in the cage in a competition environment, not in the training room, in the competition environment. The guy you've been looking up to pretty much your whole life. That would be the biggest dream come true.
Fair play. Okay, last question then. If you could pick any fighter, past or present, to face in your first main event of a UFC card, who would it be?
Past or present? In my first main event? That's a tough one, you know. Do you know what? I think like Rashad Evans or Quinton Jackson. Imagine that as a main event. Like, you know, like back when they're in their prime.
Yeah,
It's the first time you're fighting a top level guy, or they're just sort of, and they're still in their prime. But to fight them in a main event, that is a fight, a light heavyweight fight.
It's a banger.
You know? So, and especially with the striking that I like to put forward, and they're both strikers, I would love to have that. That would be amazing.
Yes, I like that. That's a good answer. Modestas, thank you for joining me, mate.
No worries, brother.
Tell the people where they can find you on social media and stuff.
Yeah, so my name's quite obviously not exactly the easiest name to put out there, but on my Twitter, it's Modestas Bukaus 1. On my Facebook, it's again Modestas Bukauskas, and then on my Instagram, it's MODYB24, and I think that's about it. So yeah, catch me on either one of those. I need to get that Twitter following up. I mean, I don't use it too much, but I want to sort of learn the game of Twitter a little bit more. But yeah, so catch me on all of those to see what my life sort of goes on about. See me, you know, dancing to horrendous club music in my car. That's part of what you're gonna be witness to if you get on any one of them channels.
And then obviously they'll see your journey begin with the UFC.
That's it.
Guys, you can follow me on Twitter at ACEcast_nation, Facebook.com/ACEcastNation. You can see every show we do is in video format, YouTube.com/ACEpodcastnation, and audio at iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all of those good stuff. You can check out previous episodes of Unscripted and Uncensored with Danny Batten, Paddy the Paddy Bimblet, Brett Johns, Jack Shaw, boxer Gavin Gwynn, Tom Mearns of Bellator, and loads of other shows and guests. Again, I thank you very much, Modestas, for joining me. And
no worries, brother. Thank you so much for having me.
It's been fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
It's been cool. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time.
Nice one, bro.